Thank you. What? Thank you. You know what, Regional Administrator? I like that. Little response, no, we're not in church. This is the Metropolitan Council meeting this July 24th, 2024. Good afternoon. I'm Charlie Zelli, Chair, and we have a number of business items to consider, and then a presentation we've been waiting to hear about our art and policy kind of updates. So unless I hear an objection, I will assume the agenda is approved. But we have had minutes that were sent out in advance from the council meeting from July 10th. So is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, corrections, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That minutes are approved. This is the time of the meeting. We have a public invitation for members of the public to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. And we did have one, but now they have decided not to address the council. And so is there anyone else that would like to address the council? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent business agenda. Is there a motion and a second for the consent business items?
So moved.
Thank you. And one of those a second. Second, thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that motion carried. There are no reports from the Community Development Committee, but there is one from the Environment Committee. Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair and members of the council, business item 2024-170, same week, requests that the Metropolitan Council adopt the wastewater rates and charges outlined in the business item to be effective on January 1st, 2025. These rates were presented to our industrial waste and municipal wastewater customers earlier this year. Environmental Services had 70 customers attend the industrial waste workshops and over 60 attendees at our municipal budget workshops. The rates were presented and customers had the opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback. Feedback was positive at both events, and customers expressed curiosity and interest in topics such as inflow and infiltration grant programs, fat, oil, and grease management, and asset preservation. The rates and charges were approved by the Environment Committee on July 23rd and are now being presented to the council for adoption. Therefore, Mr. Chair and members of the council, I move that the Met Council adopt the wastewater rates and charges outlined in the business item to be effective January 1, 2025.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. And I apologize for the sound outside. I think it has something to do with street reconstruction. Infrastructure can be very disruptive. Who knew? Anyway, so we'll all remember to speak up. Now, from the Management Committee, we have a number of items. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if it's a point of pride, but I have twice as many items as transportation this week, so I'm just kind of excited
This is a
about
rare
that.
and crazy moment.
So our first item today, Mr. Chair, is business item 2024-172. It is a same week item, and it is the post-65 medical insurance. We do have a presentation on this, but if we don't need it, we'll just keep going with the motion that I'll have before you today. So the post-65 medical insurance is a fully insured Medicare Advantage plan for retirees enrolled in Medicare. This project solicitation is the first independent RFP issued for this service. It has historically been bundled with active medical insurance. Eligibility for post-65 medical insurance is based on applicable bargaining agreement or non-represented plan. Coverage is offered to eligible retirees, spouses, and dependents. Currently, there are about 2,100 participants enrolled in our post-65 medical insurance plan. Through clarifications and best final offers, enhanced services along with a 27% reduction in costs in the first year and a 15% reduction in costs in the second year were negotiated. Enhanced services include a plan offering that will not differ based on the address of participants, plan design match or enhancements from our current plan design, and provider match of 95% and prescription formulary match of 99.7%. So great insurance for this group. This item has been reviewed and approved unanimously by the Management Committee today. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the Regional Administrator to negotiate and execute Contract 24P007 with United Healthcare to provide post-65 medical insurance in an amount not to exceed $28,193,000.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I might,
Yes.
could you just repeat the proposed action again? I'm not sure that the one that they gave you is the one that
Oh.
was listed on the business item. And
Okay.
since it's same week, it might just be easier if you could just repeat it.
Sure. You want the contract number? What are you, for clarification, what are you?
I think the proposed action was phrased in terms of to provide a fully insured Medicare Advantage plan, and that was, I don't think that's the language I was hearing you state as the proposed action. So I just want
So-
to make sure the business item and what you.
You want the motion restated?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. The motion would be that I move the Metropolitan Council authorize the Regional Administrator to negotiate and execute Contract 24P007 with United Healthcare to provide post-65 medical insurance in an amount not to exceed $28,193,000. Should that be medical? It's medical insurance is how it's been stated in the motion.
That was how the business management committee.
Medical
Insured Medicare.
Medicare Advantage plan, would you prefer if I?
Yeah, it was the management committee.
The proposed action, as I think as came out of management today, I wasn't there, was to provide a fully insured Medicare Advantage plan and services for our post-65 medical insurance, if
Yes.
that's,
So-
yes.
So, Mr. Chair, I will restate the agenda with that correction. So, Mr. Chair, I move that thank you.
I guess it
Kind of you. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the Regional Administrator to negotiate and execute Contract 24P007 with United Healthcare to provide fully insured Medicare Advantage plan and services for our post-65 medical insurance in an amount not to exceed $28,193,000. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, and thanks for the clarification. That has been moved, and has that been seconded?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any more discussion? Would you like to have the presentation or not?
No, it's just available
It's available if
online and
those
for
have
people that
questions.
want to look through it.
I got you, and it is available on the website. So with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. And I've just been informed that that noise is actually street work. It's the Gold Line construction, so great progress being made on that.
Yeah.
Is closed, so you'll have to sign up next time.
It's not on the agenda. All right, Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item from management is item number 2024-176. This is also a same week item. This is Met Council Property Insurance Renewal. This is business item again, 2024-176, where the council seeks authorization to bind coverage of its property insurance effective August 1st of 2024 through August 1st of 2025 in an amount not to exceed $4.3 million. This insurance provides coverage for damage to physical property as well as expenses incurred to continue operations after a loss. 2 years ago, the council switched insurance companies and partnered with FM Global. For this year's renewal, staff worked with the council's insurance broker to benchmark FM Global's quote against the industry, not only comparing the rate but also coverage. FM Global's rate was not only very competitive, but continued to provide the appropriate coverage for the council's risks. And again, it was reviewed and approved unanimously at the Management Committee today. Therefore, the recommendation is to renew the insurance with FM Global. So therefore, Mr. Chair, I move the Metropolitan Council authorize binding coverage of its property insurance effective August 1st, 2024 to August 1st, 2025 in an amount not to exceed $4.3 million.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
And Mr. Chair, I just want to thank Phil and the team for working so diligently over the years to build these great relationships. We are in large measure beating the average of rate increases in the industry. And so again, it just goes to show our stewardship, our fiscal stewardship for all of the property that the council owns. And in our committee meeting today, I was channeling Councilmember Vento because we had a question about insurance recently at one of our council meetings and how are we doing? And in this case, we're doing very, very well. This does not, though, include the properties that we own for our housing programs, which is done through CD, so we can ask about that later. But I just wanted to assure the council we have, I think, the best and brightest on this, and I'm really pleased to present this to you today.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and we certainly read and hear about the insurance markets and how increases are generally been pretty high, so this is a great result. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carried. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. More good news. I am pleased to bring business item 2024-184 same week. This is the labor agreement with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local Number 49. The Metropolitan Council's labor agreement with Local 49 expired on December 1st of 2023. Local 49 represents 175 employees who perform wastewater treatment and operations work. Following recommendations from Local 49 Executive Board, the Local 49 membership ratified the agreement on July 12th of this year. Highlights of the agreement include a 3-year contract effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st of 2026, a compensation package that includes a 5.5 general wage increase and a 6% market increase in year 1, 3.5 general wage increase, general wage increase in year 2, and a 3.0 general wage increase in the 3rd year of the contract. The agreement also includes a new employee incentive that will support efficient continuity of services across all of our wastewater treatment plants and operations. The wages and benefits negotiated in this agreement are consistent with the agreements in place with the council's other labor unions. The cost of the labor agreement was reviewed by finance and was negotiated within the economic parameters established by the council. The item was reviewed and approved by the management committee today and was moved by Lee. Oh, I'm sorry. This is was reviewed and approved today unanimously. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I would move that the management committee moves approval to authorize the regional administrator to enter into a labor agreement with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 49, effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Any comments?
And Mr. Chair, if I might, I just want to thank everybody who was negotiating on this and Marcy's hard work, but the whole team especially. And I do want to thank the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 49, for coming to an agreement with us. We do appreciate all of the folks that work at the council and are happy to move this forward.
Thank you, and I really echo that. You know, we value our employees, but a labor negotiation can often, by its structure, be kind of feel adversarial. But I really put hats off to both teams who worked on an agreement and voted for it, and it's a really great outcome, I think, for everybody. So with that, if there's no other comments, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion's carried. Councilmember Johnson.
And last but not least, and rubbing down the goosebumps, it was a great management committee meeting today. I bring before you business item 2024-197. It's the same week, comprehensive security plan, security platform contract 24P210. This is Information Services is implementing a security platform in response to a risk analysis completed by the CISO, and also testing performed by the Department of Homeland Security. Both identified significant information technology security gaps in the council's ability to identify and respond effectively to malicious activities. The IS department is purchasing a comprehensive security platform using equipment and maintenance services costing at an estimated $4.5 million. The purchase will be made through the reseller PDS. The equipment being purchased will be supplemented with a 5-year maintenance contract and support services. To procure this equipment and software, the council will utilize the state of Minnesota released contract C-11215, which is a multi-vendor cooperative agreement for purchasing cloud solutions and web-based software. The council has statutory authority under Minnesota statutes 471.345 to utilize such cooperative agreements, service agreements. The Office of Equal Opportunity OEEO did not establish a goal for this project as this contract will be procured utilizing the State of Minnesota contract. So that, with that, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute contract 24P210 with PDS to purchase, oops, are we?
It's 198.
198, oh, sorry about that. Did I not say 198?
You said 197.
Oh, I'm sorry, 198. I'm having a problem today. Again, this is for item 2024198, same week, for contract 24P210 with PDS to purchase and implement a comprehensive security platform for a not-to-exceed amount to $4.5 million.
I think you got it.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion? Councilmember Venda.
Mr. Chair, I just want to do a shout out to Gretchen and Eric. They have just been phenomenal in helping the organization wade through these challenges, and they're invaluable. We're really, really lucky to have them.
Yep.
Great.
Mr. Chair, and I just want to second that. It's been great getting to know Gretchen. I have just full faith in her, and Eric too. They're doing such important work here at the council, and it's very timely. So having them on board and making this move here will just continue to bring organizational excellence, I think, to the Met Council in very important ways that we should be doing on behalf of the region.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
They're not doing it alone. They've got a team of folks working with them, so I want to note that too. I always get nervous when I limit my commendations to the leaders. There's a whole team there that's doing a great job, so please let them know we appreciate them.
I had the great privilege of sitting in the back room of the room at a regional quarterly RA division managers meeting, and I was sitting at a table with a number of our IS managers, and really impressive. And they look like they're very happy with the leadership, and more people are coming on board, and it is really something we can feel good about. Any more discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that motion carried. On to congratulations on a long agenda items. You did a lot this week.
And thank you to my colleague here for keeping me on track.
Councilmember Chambliss. On to transportation, Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very pleased to only have 2 items tonight. So, Mr. Chair, council members, business item number 2024-122, same week, is regarding authorization for a joint municipal consent public hearing regarding the Blue Line Extension project. Under Minnesota law, the physical design components of a proposed light rail transit facility in the metropolitan area must go through a municipal consent process before final design plans can be prepared. Metropolitan Council will submit to Hennepin County and cities along the proposed route the physical design components of the preliminary design plans for the project. The municipal consent public hearing will be a joint collaboration between Metropolitan Council and the Hennepin County Regional Railroad Authority, as well as serve as the public hearing for Hennepin County. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize a joint municipal consent public hearing with Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority in Hennepin County on August 26, 2024 at 6:00 p.m. at North Point Health and Wellness Conference Center, 1256 Penn Avenue North, Suite 5200, Minneapolis, Minnesota 55411, to discuss the physical design components of the preliminary design plans for the Metro Blue Line Extension Light Rail Transit Project and direct staff to prepare Blue Line Extension municipal consent plans and submit them to Hennepin County and the cities of Minneapolis, Robbinsdale, Crystal, and Brooklyn Park. I will also note, Mr. Chair, that the date that I provided you, and as I read it, is correct. It is incorrect in the
You're good. I'm
business
telling him that
item.
right now.
We're
You're
just
good.
admiring your fluidity.
There you go. So the correct date is August 26th.
Thank you, as correctly presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, comments? This is a big step in this process. Councilmember Osmond.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to thank the project team for the hard work they're doing for this project. I met last couple of weeks a number of council members from Minneapolis City Council, including the president, and they raised some issues with the project. So now we're going to the phase of the municipal consent. I know the project team every day, regularly they meet with the city staff, but some of the issues that they raise, they need some mitigation of that issues. So I want to acknowledge on that issues that they raised.
Thank you, and I want to acknowledge that, and then we've gotten recent communication from the city of Minneapolis about some of their concerns, and the intention to address them in a very timely manner, because we only have a limited amount of time until October, and to have these conversations, so that's duly noted.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just one part to add. I believe there's an action team being set up that involve city staff who are a part of formalizing, I would assume, some of what you heard with project team staff. We'll be sitting down and working issue by issue through what you are referencing, Councilmember. And so we'll keep people updated as to progress as we go.
Please do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I really do appreciate this process. I'll be voting no on this. I think I've expressed, before that I would really prefer that municipal consent take place after the elections. However, I do appreciate Councilmember Barber reaching out to me because I'd asked for some sort of ratification if this should move forward before the elections. And she's assured me that they do have to provide resolutions of support, that the newly seated council members or mayors or whatever would be having to do that as part of the process. But I'll still stand by my belief that I believe this should be held back at least until after the election. And I still think that there is some question in people's mind about what municipal consent really means, especially if you're not at the end of the line, like we've had in another line where a city backed out completely. So I just wanted to make that known for the record. And at the same time, I appreciate the process and the work that everybody's putting in on this, but just expressing my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify that those resolutions of support are tied to the Transportation Policy Plan amendment that will be occurring in the first quarter of 2025.
Correct. Which, in other words, is that there will be opportunities for cities to make additional expressions of approval or dissent
Correct.
next year. Yeah. Councilmember Wall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question, because it says in the materials that the local unit of government needs to review and approve or disapprove the plans on the route, and they have to give specific amendments that would cause them to, in effect, approve it. Can they just say, no, this is the wrong mode, or do you have to say what it would take to get you to say yes?
Yeah, I think we should be really specific about that question, and thank you for asking. And maybe, Nick, you can come in and not just answer the question, but the issue is not about other things other than the current design and alignment that is being proposed.
Chair and council members, that's a great question. It's a question we're getting a lot. So this is a state process that we're following, and the state process outlines the three options. In this case, a city would have, or the county. They could say yes, they approve designs that we submit. They could take no action. That's a valid step in the state prescribed process, and that is consent. Taking no action is also consent. The state law lays out that if they say no, they do need to list out changes in the design that would, if made, would change to a yes or a consent. But then if there's a option a city chooses, like they ask for some item, it goes to the council to decide whether to include that item into the project. And so there's some back and forth that occurs in that scenario. But if we've tried not to get into too many hypotheticals, and because we don't know exactly what actions the cities will take. But if they say no, but they would, per state law, need to say what changes to the project could be made that would change their consent. And that's how the statute is written. But the cities will decide on their own how they want to write take their votes. So we'll have to see on that scenario. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but it's.
Yeah, Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess, to me, that puts me to a no vote on the municipal consent because there's serious problems with this project in terms of cost versus ridership and property impacts that seem like the only way to solve them would be to look at BRT as a mode rather than LRT. So if the choices are yes or yes if you do things that are still in LRT, I think we're putting the cart in front of the horse, and we really should be going back to, is LRT the right mode, or should we be doing BRT since the ridership is only a BRT level ridership?
All right, any other comments? Councilmember
Just
Johnson.
briefly, thank you, Councilmember Wolf. That was the confusion, I think, that we had actually addressed earlier in this process here in these chambers when I asked that question specifically. And again, when you're at the tail end of a line, it's much easier for a community to say, whether during municipal consent or not, we just don't even want this coming into our community as has happened on the purple line. And so that was the comparison I used because I know that some advocates, either for or against the project, in talking with their local city councils, are wondering, can we just say, no, this is not what we want a different mode? And that state law does not permit that. But in these chambers, and it's on tape, it was said that if a city, doesn't want to be involved in this, they don't have to be. But if you don't say anything, it's considered consent. So this is the area where, if a city doesn't feel that this is the right project for them, they're really boxed in. And so what they end up doing is working with their city attorney, of course, to say, all right, we better say something. So at least, a project that we don't think is the right mode, we can at least have input to make what we want happen better for our community and express maybe whatever the concerns might be. They all have the opportunity to say how they would like to see it come through their community. So for me, I just wanted to reiterate, I think Councilmember Wolf said it much more succinctly than I did, but it's something that I've been asking about for many months here at the council. And so again, I'll continue to be a no on this. I just feel that with all the changes in the world and all the changes in the economy post-pandemic, this project is further in the pipeline, of course, than others, but it's just caught in this middle ground where we've really not been able, as a council, just to ask, should we reset and just look at another mode? I do appreciate, though, that, and I think, get your quote right, Mr. Thompson, that it's an LRT project until it isn't, and I get that. But there are people throughout the region, there are people I know in the area of the region that I represent that are just saying, why isn't anybody at least taking a second look? So I think some city officials would like that second look, but, unless Hennepin County decides to change their mind, I guess we're stuck in this process right now. So again, appreciate all the hard work on it, appreciate all the reasons that I'm not questioning people's motives on this. I'm just questioning where we're at a moment in time where I think this needs to be revisited. And I think that cities are having to bend perhaps to what they'd really like to do politically because they feel like they're between a rock and a hard place. So I just wanted that to be in the record.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Vento.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've stated my opinions and asked my questions about this at previous meetings, so I will refrain from doing that tonight, but I would just ask that this be a roll call vote.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Councilmember Chambliss.
Thank you. I understand that some folks are feeling like we should relook at this, but I feel like we have been looking at the Blue Line extension for, decades. And so we're at a point in time where our process is to look at the joint municipal consent process, which we're voting on today, which I intend to support. And that's going to be my vote.
Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate all the discussion about this because as, I also have some concerns. I think it does make sense to put this out to the communities to get their feedback, see how, we can all talk about how we think they feel. We'll learn a lot through this process, which I think is really important. It will really be coming back before us for that TPP amendment in early next year, not only as is this the right project, because it's the planning document, it's our chief planning document for all transportation things. But I think key for all of you to know is that the transportation policy plan is a fiscally constrained document, which means all funding has to be identified. So we will also need to have firm commitments from our partners as to what the funding sources are going forward before we can actually approve that. So that is a good opportunity for us as a council to use the Transitway Advancement Policy to make sure that everything is adding up and everything feels like we're on the right path, or to take a step back. So.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments, questions? Welcome, Councilmember Cameron. Your timing is excellent.
Yes. So I want to echo the comments that Chair Barber made. I think the municipal consent process is a really important process for communities to weigh in. And to Councilmember Wolf's question about the process, I think that is the intention behind creating this within state statute, is really that this is an opportunity to create that communication for cities. And so this is a really important phase in the process. This is when we get to hear from the communities. Certainly two of the cities that I represent are going through this municipal consent process, and they have communicated what they would like. This formalizes that. This makes it a process where they have given us clear direction on what they would like to see for their communities. And so I think it is a really, really important phase in the process. And I think regardless of how we feel about the project, that this is an important opportunity for our city partners to be able to weigh in on the project. So I just wanted to add that piece in.
Thank you. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just, to kind of follow on that, like, as Nick said, we have the cities, and we'll come back with their lists of these are the things we want. This body gets to decide yes or no. And so there are many opportunities along the way here.
Yeah, Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll just reiterate, I believe the intent of the statute was to make sure that projects move forward and that progress moves forward, especially when major highways are coming through. Without laws like this, local communities can put a wrinkle in pretty easily on progress and hold up projects for years. So I know, having been a city official, you have to know where your authority lies. So municipal consent is very important, but what it doesn't allow is for a community to say, no, we don't want this project in this way. So they might come up with a list of things, but I don't think we should assume that means that they're for it, but they're probably hedging their bet that if we don't say something, we're going to get something we absolutely don't want at all. So it is a good process. We will get feedback, but it's within very tight constraints through the state law that they can give us certain feedback, and then it will come back to us to figure out what we want to do or not. And I do appreciate Councilmember Barber, again, reminding all of us that there is more in this process and that it is a fiscally constrained process, and that our partner in this, Hennepin County, will be responsible for the funding and have to let us know how that will happen. So there are other moments, but I think having been through this process for many years, and I do appreciate the fact that this corridor has been on the map for a long, long time, and it's frustrating, and I agree with you on that, and I think investment should definitely be made here. So I just want to be very clear that it's very nuanced on how cities can or cannot share their, I should say it's very nuanced on how municipalities will share their feedback, because they're all going to want some changes to this project for sure, and they should, but it really doesn't allow them to say, hey, time out, is this the right thing to do? If they don't say anything at all, it comes in as full consent. So I just hope that we can hear more, maybe have some conversations with whoever's in office after November, and that's all I have to say. So.
Thank you. And this has been, as Councilmember Johnson says, nuanced, and I appreciate the full and candid expressions. I will report that whereas there are those that are detractors and would like another mode, I've heard an equally and frankly stronger number of voices saying, no, this is the mode. and that as an extension of a robust Blue Line, that this is actually an appropriate investment for that ridership. So I've heard it all, and I think that's not the question that's on the table today. But I just, for the record, say that there are strong supporters with their calculators, and we certainly, in every large mega projects, hear a whole range of opinions, and we'll have opportunities, as Councilmember Barber has said, to continue that debate in future meetings. But this is specifically about the municipal consent process to initiate. And there's been a request for a roll call vote, which I agree. So if there's no other comments or discussion, we will take the roll. Yeah, no. Okay. Brian does not vote, although he kind of does when he whispers.
All right. Johnson.
No.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Dr. Carter.
Aye.
Barber.
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Osmond.
Aye.
Cameron.
Aye.
Bloodhart.
I don't get to vote
Oh,
either.
you don't either? Sorry. Morales.
Aye.
Cedarburg.
Aye.
Vento.
No.
Carter.
Aye.
Wolf.
No.
Chair.
Aye. All right, that motion carried, and thank you for the debate, the discussion, and the vote. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr.
That's been
Chair. For
happening
some
all day.
reason, we've been had that happen multiple times today. So, yeah.
I understand.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. Business item number 2024-180 is a same-week item regarding executing a contract with Schmitty & Sons for microtransit service. Microtransit is an app-enabled, real-time shared ride transit service. The council operates microtransit service under the program name Metro Micro. Metro Micro began in September 2022 with a pilot service area in North Minneapolis. Council staff has learned from the pilot and is prepared to expand this service. This agreement will provide the transit service necessary to support the program transition from its single pilot zone to a full-fledged program with 8 additional service zones planned to be launched between late 2024 and 2028. An RFP for the service was released in April, and 4 proposals were received on June 12th. A panel of council staff and a Minnesota Department of Human Services representative met and evaluated them based on proposal quality, qualifications and experience, capabilities, and ability to deliver the service and price. The proposal submitted by Schmitty & Sons Transportation Incorporated was determined by the panel to be the most advantageous to the council. The business item references $49.3 million as the value for the base service for this contract. That number assumes that all of the service will be provided using small buses. We anticipate deploying a mix of small buses and vans in the service area and requested rates for buses and for vans. The base rate for blended small bus and van service is approximately $44.9 million. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute a contract with Schmitty & Sons Transportation Incorporated to provide microtransit services in an amount not to exceed $60,645,500.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, please.
Councilmember Barber. And then,
I am just very excited to taking the next step in this. We've seen how some of our suburban transit providers, partners have done such a great job with this microtransit. We've had great success with our North Minneapolis pilot. And I think what's really critical is the first 2 zones we're going into now affect Woodbury, and so where the Gold Line will be going into place, and primarily centered around Roseville, which ties to the A line. So it's a good opportunity to tie it to something that's existed for a while, and a good opportunity to tie it to something that is completely new. So just very, very excited and very thankful to all the staff who's done a lot of work, both on the MTS and Metro Transit side of trying to get all of this coordinated. So just very happy with this one.
great, thank you. Councilmember Cedarburg.
Thank you. I've kind of quite a few notes here on this, and I'm so excited about the program, fully support it. Last Thursday, I was able to meet with Forest Lake Commissioner Myron to discuss microtransit. We were invited to come up. Thank you for Metro Transit. They actually gave us some slides to present, and I presented the information. What I saw in the presentation and what I think Forest Lake was disappointed at is the 8 new areas coming out were connected to BRT lines or LRT lines, and there wasn't a pilot for a standalone community like Forest Lake, where their main transit line up to their transit center was discontinued, and there's no plans to continue it up there. So they have a community that has no express bus, do not have fixed route daily buses. They don't have any transportation except some once a week transit and a volunteer system. Some metro mobility, it's very difficult and costly to get it up there, et cetera. They do have livability and mobility challenged populations, senior populations. We heard from a woman who's running a homeless shelter. They can't get to jobs in the winter. They can't get to where they need to be. And I think we need to pilot a microtransit system in a community like Forest Lake to see how that will work as well. And I am strongly encouraging in this, after Roseville, after Woodbury, we look at the ridership. Are people using it just to transport themselves around their community or to get to the BRT or get to the LRT? We're not sure, but I think if we're going to really pilot this, then let's pilot it in an area that is totally disconnected and really, really needs it. So I just really strongly recommend that one of these next zones in those 8 includes an area like Forest Lake. They're very vocal, very committed. They've got a really strong city administrator, but people are very, very isolated if they need transportation. And so that's what I'd have to say. And you would get a community that would really be on board and really use it and help with training, and Washington County is an avid supporter. So I absolutely support the whole microtransit, but I strongly recommend that in this next round where we branch out, that we pick a community like Forest Lake that is disconnected because they are severely it's a transit desert for them. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to kind of add a little context to all of that. Yes, first we had the North Minneapolis example. We've got a couple of others. We have a plan, but we always do reevaluate our plans. And so as we see how some of these more suburban models work, we will be evaluating it. We're also about to start getting the updated plans through Network Now, starting rolling out in August and September, and that is sort of the service improvement plan for transit that we operate. And that's going to inform us a great deal because that is going to factor in all of the changing travel patterns and things that we're seeing after COVID and seeing which ones are permanent and are more likely to stay permanent versus, where we need to add additional service. So all those things are going to be coming out over the next few months.
Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Barber. I did share that exact information with the people up at Forest Lake. And so, we're in lockstep, but you've got a very good community that would really, I think, engage in it as well, and it'd be a good pilot as well. So I shared all that information, and really thank you for Metro Transit for supplying it for me. I met with Ryan, met with lots of people, so they were disappointed they didn't have a yellow dot on Forest Lake. However, they understand this is a longer process for them, but they are encouraged. So thank you.
Any more comments? No, thank you for that. Okay, hearing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carried. So we have one more business item, business item 2024-201, the Livable Communities Advisory Committee appointments, and that's really up to me as chair of the Metropolitan Council. I share recommendations for reappointments to the Livable Communities Advisory Committee. Just as a reminder, this committee reviews and recommends funding towards the Council of the Livable Communities Demonstration Account, transit-oriented development, and home ownership grants. Its members are drawn from 7 areas of expertise this year. In addition to the role of committee chair, which is reappointed annually, We have two reappointments in the development and transportation areas. Both members are being reappointed, were actively involved in the committee, contributed significantly to discussion and scoring. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the recommended appointments to the Livable Communities Advisory Committee as described in business item 2024-201. And just for the record, that is Chair William Blonigan, Development Cow Vang, Transportation Committee Samantha McKinney. And I really appreciate the efforts that these members have given and are committing to continue to give. It's really important work. We're fortunate to have them. So is there a motion?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion, questions? Councilmember Wolf?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any concerns about the qualifications of these people. I'm certain that the appropriate thing to do would be to reappoint them. But I would like to bring attention to the overall geographic distribution of the membership of that committee. It is very much Hennepin County with a little bit of St. Paul. And in the future, I think we should try to get some geographic diversity as well.
We'll make sure that we make a note. Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carried. So we are so fortunate, as I mentioned, to have Amanda and Eleanor with us to present the art and policy update. And you might be wondering, as I have, do they always wear these delightful work uniforms?
Girl Scouts.
And they're here to give you the answer to that question. And I'm glad we had postponed this a few weeks, but it was worth the wait, and especially today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. No, we don't always wear this, but we're going to move quickly today because we are marching in a parade for the first one of the buses that will be at the Aquatennial. So we're going straight from here to meet a bus and meet other staff dressed similarly. You'll see that we're going to match one of the buses.
That's correct.
So, good evening. I'm Amanda Lovely. I'm the Parks and Trails Ambassador here at the Met Council and leading the Art and Policy Project with...
I'm Ellie Verheulen. I'm the Cultural Policy Fellow here at the Council.
All right, so we came here a while back and kind of gave you a general idea of the Art and Policy Project, but we're here tonight to kind of give you some updates, show you some big, bright, beautiful images, and get you excited about ways that maybe you can help participate.
Yeah. So to kind of reorient us with where we're at, since it's been, maybe 6 months or so since we presented, our project is art and policy, and drawing on the themes of Imagine 2050, we want to bring in arts and artists, as we've done over the past 6 months, to help synthesize and amplify the regional development guide with the values and goals and policy areas that you all know well now. So with that, bringing some playfulness and fun, the jumpsuits being a start, but much more than that, to these creative practices and artistic expression to help break down policy and some of the complex themes that can be a part of our policy plans and just Met Council work in general, raise that awareness of what we do here through continued arts-based engagement. So overall, producing this art that can then live across our infrastructure, in our parks, on our fleets, using our cities, our towns, our communities as the canvas for that.
So I'm sure you all, if I quizzed you, would know everything about the Regional Development Guide, but here's the general slide. Again, the first part of this project with the buses and trains we're wrapping is related to the policy plans, and then the work as we continue throughout this project with the engagement artists and on to the community conversations is how do we take those plans and move them towards the goals, and what are the actions in that?
So to talk about our full project scope and the 4 phases that are part of this project that we'll kind of walk through in this presentation. The first being our regional arts exhibition. So as we mentioned, we have a bus that's going to be in the Aquatennial Parade today, but we will have 12 buses and 2 light rails that are going to be wrapped with these beautiful artistic visions of our future. So we've had 4 artists create illustrations for this display, and they've been working with us since April and working closely with policy area representatives to work to translate what we're seeing in the Imagine 2050 plan into a visual medium, and relying on their voices to help translate that. So that's our regional arts exhibition, again hitting the roads today, and then throughout the next few weeks you'll get to see the rest of the buses out in the world. Our second phase is artist-led engagement. So we're working with 9 community engagement artists to do pop-up engagement events, and those are a variety of mediums. So we have a projection artist, we have a sound artist, we have visual artists, and we'll talk more about all of them, but they're doing a variety of things throughout the entirety of the region, throughout all of our communities. And then council engagement tools, so game that we'll talk about. Social Pinpoint is our toolkit that we're using digitally to help gather feedback. And then finally, our 4th phase that'll go into next year to kind of celebrate the the launch and the implementation of Imagine 2050 will be community conversation. So that'll be a multi-part speaker series focused on each of the goals and themes of the RDG.
All right, so are you ready for the unveiling of the bus designs? This is a very exciting moment. So again, we had a call for artists. We had over 50 artists apply to do the designs for the buses, which is pretty amazing. I feel like there's both excitement both in the arts community and here at the council around these different buses. So here we go. Woohoo! All right, this is Filippo Delani's bus. This is for housing and land use. We're just going to kind of show you the buses, give you a second with them. And then on the website for this project, there's more about each of these different artists and the art that they do and their practice that we can share with you. Our next bus. Woo! This is the one hitting the street. It literally was wrapped this morning, and we will show up to see it live as soon as we say goodbye to you. This is Cowley Tao's water bus. It is absolutely stunning. It's hard to see this small, but it's watercolor, and you can see each brush line. We could talk about each of these buses forever, but stop us if you want more information.
Does it cover so it covers the windows?
No.
Okay.
So it covers some of them, but there's only a percentage based on it's 3 have to be shown and the driver's side has to be shown.
Yeah.
So it won't cover those.
And the front, it looks like it's covered, but
It's not.
we wanted them to create a design that then could be made into a couple different elements. So like we'll have a poster, we'll have, so they were working with a design. The bus driver will be able to see for sure.
Good question. Fair.
Continue.
When we have autonomous buses, we're going to wrap the entire.
You first.
Fair. This is Zena Goldman, who's transportation. And our last one is parks, and this is Rock Martinez. Yep. And then we also have...
Yeah, so in addition to our 4 buses, we have 2 light rails, so they'll be wrapped on either side. You can kind of see that split right in the middle. And so one will be on the blue line, and then one will be on the green line. And the designs are pretty similar to the buses, but some tweaks, so it's nice to see some fun surprises between the 2.
And they all should be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. So first one hits the street tonight, and then the rest will continue to roll out. So I'm sure you'll start to hear more about them. And on each of those different buses and the light rail, there will be a QR code. And that QR code will bring you to Social Pinpoint, which is, again, the point of this project was to raise awareness of what we do here at the Met Council, but also to get people to comment in the public comment period. And to bring this project to the general public. And so this QR code will bring you to Social Pinpoint. It does work. It also launched a couple hours ago. So yeah, feel free, tell us, Ryan, if it doesn't work. And it'll bring you to the question to share your dream for the future of this region. And so we wanted to spend one hot second letting you each think about what is your dream for the future of our region. And feel free to either comment with the social pinpoint or just write it down on paper. And if anyone feels so engaged, you can also share it. But we'll give you a moment to dream with us, because we've been doing a lot of dreaming. I also love that the first dreams will be from the council members. Anyone have a dream they want to share? You don't have to. We won't force, and we won't make you sing it or dance it. I mean, we thought about it, but we won't.
Anybody want to share? Go ahead, Diego.
Mine's still flying cars.
I love that for our region, Diego.
Well, I did see something, it was a bus, but it was also a train, and it's being tested in some regions, and it's a one-car deal, and I was just wondering, I guess we're gonna look at something like that at some point, but that seemed interesting to me.
Magical transportation sounds like a good dream for our region. Any others? We'll continue our, feel free to share at any point.
I did have a question.
Yeah,
The
totally.
sound garden, what goes on in the sound garden?
That's a great question. We're going to show you. We're going to go through some of the really fun engagement artists, right?
Yes.
As soon as our clicker works,
Let's see if I can.
which maybe we need some technology dreams currently.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Lisa might save
Our
us.
IT specialist, Lisa
Yeah.
Barras.
She gonna
No,
lie.
she knows to use the keyboard.
CD does have the best leader.
Just have to do it the old-fashioned.
Okay.
Okay.
Make it work. Okay. Here, I can, yeah, perfect. Yeah, great. All right. Sorry about that. So we have our 9 community engagement artists that we'll talk through. And so again, one of them being our sound garden artist. And our community engagement artists as well had great response to the call, and very cool to see the differences in artists applying to the visual artist call. You know, we have such a rich public art scene here, and so there's so many different types of mediums, so it was cool to get to see artists from all different disciplines apply to this call. So to kind of breeze through what each artist is doing, our first artist is Thomasina, who's going to be working with the Creative Enterprise Zone, so kind of near the Raymond Light Rail Station, the Chromosome Mural Festival that they have done for the past 5 or 6 years. She'll be leading the festival's first community mural project, so it'll be collaborated with the community to create. People can actually come and physically paint with her, learn from her, and then the mural will be speaking to the future of our region. And you'll notice on each of the slides for our community engagement artists, we have icons that represent which policy areas they'll be focusing on. So that's Thomasina's project.
And Thomasina will end with a big community meal as part of this, and we're going to make sure that we invite all of you to that on
September 21st.
Yeah. More details coming.
Right.
So next we have James, who does the sound gardens. And again, James will be creating these you can go walk through it and engage with it and listen to the different sounds in different regional parks, showcasing the connections between parks and water, and again, prompting these conversations of what are the future of our systems. And James is doing one of these sound gardens tomorrow night.
Friday night.
Yep, no, today is Wednesday. Friday night at Crosby Farm from 8 to 10 p.m. as part of the Park After Dark event with the National Park Service. But there'll be more of them again this summer, but that'll be happening if anyone's interested on Friday.
So,
Yeah. Our next artist is Peter, and Peter will be hosting flag making workshops where community members can come and share their hopes for the future of the region through a flag making process, thinking about the systems that the Met Council oversees, and then these will be displayed publicly.
Then we have Raquel, and Raquel is hosting an art-making workshop with Indigenous youth, looking at the future and exploring topics of land use and environment and Indigenous knowledge. And then these will be translated into a mural. And those workshops are all next week.
nice.
Whit is our next artist, and we've worked with Whit on a couple different projects at the council before, so we were excited that he was eager to do some more. And he's going to be hosting interviews with folks that we've engaged with before on our housing plans, and then creating portraits that will be fabricated onto metal signs and then shared throughout the region.
And we have Khan, and Khan is working with projections, and he is going to be projecting water futures on some of the water infrastructure. And so he's working with our water team, thinking about where is there hidden water systems and talking about environmental justice in water.
Luis will be creating a poster series that's visualizing each of the council policy areas, and these will be displayed throughout transit stops, on stadiums, US Bank, and the Excel Center, and then a couple other locations throughout the region. He has a great show up right now at the Artistry in Bloomington if you want to see more of his work.
And we have Corinne, who is doing 7 hands-on workshops with youth and family, working with Girl Scouts and Boys and Girls Clubs and other youth-serving organizations. And she's going to host one of these in one of each of the 7 different counties.
And our final community engagement artist is Melody. Melody will be hosting a couple pop-up engagements with different placements throughout the region, and also working with her students. She's a teacher in North Minneapolis, to create murals that are pieced together through tiles that the community co-creates. So yeah, that's the full list of our community engagement artists, and we're so thrilled to get to work with such a variety of artists, and that they were eager to take on this new challenge, one that's very interdisciplinary and different from probably what they've done before, but it's been a great process so far.
And so we have a list of, here's our schedule of events, and this is just very gentle, light beginning of a schedule. We are going to have very specific dates, and we will send them out to all of you to make sure you know that you are invited. Let us know if there's certain ones you want to attend in any way, and we will be there to help you. But we're super excited. It's going to be happening starting again kind of this Friday and then continuing on until mid-October when the public comment period closes. Will be the kind of wrap-up of the community engagement artists.
Councilmember Vintage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both. I love the enthusiasm and energy that you bring to this. I think it's great and really important. I kind of feel like I'm listening to the Art Hound on public radio on, I think it's Friday morning that they do that. Where will these be held? Are the locations region-wide?
Yep, yeah, so different artists have different locations, but yeah, we really were trying to making sure we get regional spread and that they're not just all in the urban core. So some artists are focusing more on rural or suburban areas, and then some are more in the urban core, but they're across the region.
Okay, Mr. Chair, when you send out the dates, could you also send out the specifics in terms of locations?
Yep, yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I just really appreciate that question. First, very exciting work. And it's a big region. So a lot of times, because Metro Transit is, well, we serve large parts of the region, but a lot of times where there's concentration, it's urban focus. So you really start to see it because it's repetition that kind of also brings people alive into what's happening. And it is harder when you get into the suburbs or you get into the far-flung regional centers or the less populated parts of the region. And I think work like this is just so important to make sure that everybody feels and everybody sees some of this so that they know that they're included. And I understand dollars are limited and all of that, but whatever we can do to ensure that everybody's got the opportunity to somehow be included without having to travel far away to get to it. I just think that's important. I appreciate that, most people are concentrated in the urban core and very, very important, and especially certain disadvantaged populations when we're working on equity and social justice and environmental justice and all that. But I am excited about it, but just also want to make sure that people all throughout the region that experience life very differently get to sense what we're doing through this medium with the 2050 plan.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, and Councilmember Carter.
It really is very exciting, and you can feel the energy as you all talk about it that will be moving across the region. I appreciate that you're also collaborating with organizations who have particular locations where they are based, but who also have the ability to provide that outreach, to understand that this is about our entire region, and to bring people together. So I really look forward to it. I'm glad you're sharing general dates with us, but I realize that we're going to have to get a lot more information so that we can travel out with you and be a part of this energy and excitement. And it's also a way for us to connect as council members, as council staff, and a community together. So I just really appreciate it. I see some of the offerings that are going to be created are provocative in and of themselves, because they are not just presenting the arts or something that you can look at, but they are really helping people to reflect their lives through the arts and for their hopes for this region. Just thank you, big kudos. This is a complex set of pieces that you're putting together. And in fact, your coordination is in and of itself an art piece. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Feels that way.
Yeah. Matching outfits and all.
We have to bring joy to our coordination.
Yes. So moving away from our community engagement artists and onto our interactives, we've developed a game called Playing Policy, which Amanda's going to pass out the cards. So feel free to take a few and pass them along. We don't have the chance to play the game with the group today, but hopefully at a later date we will. But yeah, take a look at these. These are a game that's called Go Policy. So similar to Go Fish, if you've played that. And really what it's all about is sharing the objectives from our Imagine 2050 plan and using that as a tool to play a game and get people educated about what it is and how we can plain language some of the pieces of it. We have played it a few times with various community groups that you see here with the Walker Art Center teens. We played at the National APA conference when it was here in April. And yeah, a few more examples of what the cards look like on here. So again, making the language a little bit more accessible and an easy way for people to read out the actual things that are going to be a part of our region for the next 25 years. So we're hoping to use this as a tool going into the rest of this year, but then into the future as well, because this is, the policy that we'll be living for the next 25 years. So, yeah.
And we really, in our dream world, had a dream, which we will soon, have a deck for each of you. And we are willing to go out with you into community and be your card dealer and play games within community. So again, it's pretty fun because you get to learn our objectives in the process of playing. So I would be like, Chair Zelli, we are creative and innovative at addressing the threat of climate change. And if you're like, no, go fish, and then you would read me one of the objectives. And so in the process, players are reading all of the objectives of the Met Council. And then at the end, we have blank cards where then they can create objectives that they would want to add. So it would be a great way for you to meet with people where you're not showing a PowerPoint to talk about the Imagine 2050, but instead in your own communities playing cards. And we kind of, again, lean down that tradition of Minnesota and cards and winters and playing games together. So yeah, if you want us to lead a game, if you want us to train you as card dealers, we can get you a visor like a card dealer. That is in the cards. Maybe the chair can play with the governor in a really hardcore game.
I'm
See who
sure
wins.
he would want to do that. I'll go to the governor's residence with my visor and my arm garters and.
I just want a wad to start.
Yeah, so we think it's a fun tool, again, if you wanted to go into your community and play, like host at a library, have a card night. We can get you more decks, but we are having at least one printed for each of you, but we can, and we will come play with you at any point. We did ask if we could play at a council meeting, but we couldn't really, so we might have to set out a card table in front next time.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so the final part of this project, so we showed you the visual artist, we showed you the engagement artist, we showed you kind of the card game and the playing part of the policy, and then we're gonna end all of this in the spring of next year with these community conversations. And so again, this is taking those goals of the policy plan and how do we start to have conversations of how do we achieve them? Like how will we be leaders in climate change? What does that even mean for a region? And so we, so far, on the books, have one of these conversations in partnership with the Walker Arts Center. Again, this intersection of how do the arts and government work together to think about our region. And that one will be in March-ish. Again, these dates are coming. We started this project 6 months ago, and you kind of see the scale of it. It's been running in jumpsuits and joy. But this is unfolding, and we're excited to have this unfold with you. So if there's other places where you think it would be great to have one of these larger kind of conversations, we're thinking of them as like lectures, but having multiple speakers. And on top of that, maybe having the card games, like, again, the conversation ends and you come out to the lobby and there's a group of us all as card dealers and you sit down and talk about policy and what is policy and what does it mean in your own lives. So again, at these, maybe we might recruit you as card dealers to come play at some of these conversations, but we are also interested if there's places you want to go or people you want to have flown in to come speak. And how do we move from a plan to an action is something our team is really excited about and excited to dream with all of you about.
Mr. Chair.
How
How long is this, I'll call it a campaign for lack of maybe a better word. What parameters, as far as time, are you working within? So if we have ideas in our communities where there might be big gatherings or opportune moments, we could maybe pace with the resources you have and the time frame that you're working within as we try to reach, as much of the region as we can.
Yeah, so like the engagement part and the buses are kind of in line with the public comment period, but we are well aware that like we just said, like a plan only moves to action through action, right? And so like, how do we during the public comment period do a lot of these different engagement events, but what happens after this plan is adopted? And how do we move into like reaching some of those goals? So our project timeline with the artists ends at the mid-October-ish, but our team is here. And this conversation series is in the spring, so post-adoption. So
Thank you.
yeah. And then we hope to continue this like art and government work here at the council beyond the regional development guide in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that leads us nicely into our discussion questions. So how can this project help support engagement in your community? Are there other ways that we can collaborate? And then how else can artists engage in work that's happening at the council?
So let's open it up. Tony.
Well, I can just imagine moving around with my little card table, having my dealers come out. I don't know if I get a wad to start with. Probably not. But I'm imagining setting up card tables even in shopping centers or in parks and things of that sort. Thank you. I saw that in this work before we got to these slides, that it would be a potential for us. And I really do hope that we are able to take advantage of it. We'll find variety, I'm sure, in the manners and frequency with which each one of us is able to see an opportunity. But thank you so much for this opportunity. I think that, I'm imagining those spaces also youth organizations, and this being a very important youth leadership opportunity for us as well. So, and I can't imagine I'll have every week, but I will call on you. I look forward to working with you and also to having you work with leaders in our community, especially youth leaders, to take this on with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Judy?
I think, of course, Metro Transit's just so great because they're just rolling billboards, right? Are we able to partner with the suburban transit providers in maybe a smaller way so that those images are showing up, because it's just a statement, right? It's not, it's just, and then with the QR code, how great is that? So was that contemplated to kind of see if they'd participate in any way, shape, or form?
That's a great question, and we can ask our wonderful transit partners.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Sue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't really know if I can phrase this in a coherent way, but it's nothing new, so I won't worry about it. I'm interested in how we can provide feedback to our local government folks in terms of what we learned from this. I'm thinking back to the, possible topics include climate change and combating loneliness. The results of those conversations would be really good information for our local partners to have. And likewise, when they get it, it would be really good for us to have it. So if we can kind of figure out a way to create a two-way form of communication on those two topics and any others where it just seems right, I think it would be a really good thing to do. And I think that to the extent that we can communicate this initiative with those local community leaders and county leaders, it would be a really good idea. So that it's not a, oh, what's Met Council up to now sort of feeling. Exactly. That they get a formal announcement from us on that.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Councilmember, I think it's a good suggestion, and oftentimes the challenge for both the local government and the council is making the regional development guide come to life when conversations do occur with it. At some level, it feels dry and regulatory. I mean, that's a part of it, but it's also meant to be a vision for the region and where we go. And what I would say is, as we think about the road show that occurs, as we move past the process we're in and we get into Q1 of next year, getting feedback here and weaving that into the way you all play a role in helping talk about the regional development guide is something that we could think about, because we're putting our heads already around, like, how do we position all of you well to be able to be a part of those conversations as we move toward a finished product with the regional development guide. And this would seem to be one way to help tell some of that story. So that's a helpful comment for us to think about right now where we're at point in time.
Great. Any other thoughts? Well, as we think of them, we know where to find you.
At the bus.
On the parade, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be waving at the parade.
Have you practiced?
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda and Marion. That was really, Eleanor, that's really fabulous work. And good luck tonight. We want to see videos.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Councilmember Cedarburg at first thought maybe we were getting a Girl Scout presentation.
Oh, yeah. Long-term Girl Scout leader.
Some people are scouts for life. That's right.
That's familiar.
That's good.
Well, I appreciate everybody's time, as always. I wanted to report on just a couple of things. One is, we've had these kind of outreach sessions, speaking of that, with county commissioners in their chambers. And a number of you have joined me. And Ryan, we've gone to Washington County, Dakota County, and then, was that yesterday?
Carver, yeah.
Carver County. And, it is so valuable to go out to where people are and, experience Chaska. And I just thought that was more than I even thought, and I appreciate Tyrone and Deb, you're smiling, because, you're representing that area really well, or Sue and Gail, but I think that, right, and Wendy was there, but when you think about our process of engagement, whether it's the Imagine 2025 or everything else we're doing, it's very personal, and I think we see, I've known many commissioners because we're in meetings, but those are in St. Paul, or they're in DC, or there's some other places. It's just great to be there, and maybe we're not making 180 visits, but I think we can make 7, and to spend some quality time, and I just think that has been a great experience, and we're not done, so we've got Anoka, and there's a little one on the western, Hennepin, something. Anyway.
Scott County's next month.
Scott is on the books, right?
Mr. Chair, just fun fact, Plymouth is actually the center of Hennepin County.
We knew it must
Just
be.
saying, just saying. You don't want to pay parking fees coming out to another community in Hennepin.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be there.
Because I can see people asking when we're doing other counties. So Scott County is already scheduled for next month. Anoka County is finalizing a new administrator. We're waiting for that to finalize before we have that conversation. In Dakota, unfortunately, we had the conversation during the transition because that's what we could get done. But there's a relationship on both ends we're trying to do. Ramsey County is also in the middle of the process right now, so we're waiting for that. And they're going to seat 3 new commissioners this coming year. And so you can imagine they're going to be an end of year or Q1. And Hennepin will be sometime around that same phase. So I just was working through the timeline with Sam O'Connell today, but more to come as we go. We want to try and think about the right time to do it so it's as impactful as possible.
And of course, they're all thrilled to see Ryan because they somehow have this belief that you speak county, which is always helpful.
Yes.
All right. Does anybody else want to share anything? Anything to share? Mr. R.A.?
You did one of the great updates on was going to mention Carver County yesterday. It was a great meeting and a lot of opportunity there. So thanks to the council members for making it out. You never quite know how those conversations are going to go, and that always reminds you it's always warmer than you might even anticipate.
Even when they're being really critical, they're very warm.
Yes.
I thought it was,
And Mr. Chair, will Hennepin County council members get to participate in that too?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
We'll be sure to continue to invite council members from the county to the county meetings. Other big news update, actually, I saved the biggest update for last. The Green Line extension achieved a major milestone last week on Tuesday. Excavation for the Kenilworth Light Rail Tunnel was completed.
Ooh.
Yes to that. So the structure itself overall, so excavation is one step. Completion of the tunnel now sits at 85%. And what I would anecdotally add to that is some of the most difficult engineering areas that bring the most unknowns, you can hold me to saying that into this microphone, are in the 85%. The 15% left will continue to be important for us to get right, but we're definitely through the trickiest pinch points and where progress was slowed so significantly as our teams had to work through so many different engineering related challenges. So we're at 85% now.
Additional tremie pours are anticipated.
Yes.
And I'm just amazed that most of the people at this table knows what that means.
Yes. You've all learned a lot about tunnels and have future careers in the tunnel industry. We remain on time and on track here with the revised budgets, we remain on track with the revised budget, which recently went through FTA review alongside our teams, and that was affirmed. And we also remain on target for the 2027 date for planned operation of the system. And so I want to give the team a shout out. It's been a long road with all of you as well as with them, and by no means are we done with the project, but there's a different feeling right now about progress and optimism that's happening. You can begin to, if you have not been out on the corridor, I would strongly encourage you to take the Cedar Lake Trail and travel out toward Hopkins. It'll give you a sense of what is being accomplished. It also gives you a sense of the magnitude of what you've all been working through and leading through here and with partners to get to this point. So congratulations to the team. Happy to share that update with you today.
Mr. Chair, and Ryan, if I may, where are we at in the systems? It's building and then, but systems is coming,
Sure.
Where are we at in that? Because that's when things start to, really come alive, so to speak.
Madam sorry. I was looking at you and you threw me off there from a previous life. Mr. Chair, council member. Some of the systems stuff is starting on the west end first. There's more that'll occur. That's more of a next year project for many of these areas. The tunnel capping and starting to look as though there never even was a tunnel is really next summer as well. And so there's this part where we're in an exciting transition phase, but definitely not done. We were in the tunnel last week with Representative Hornstein, walked through the tunnel. He got to see it. And I was amazed at the progress made from our first walkthrough maybe 2 months earlier or a month earlier. I mean, the progress is noticeable every time you go in, seeing the change happen.
And the systems are well on their way.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
That's all. I'm sorry, that's the end, Mr. Chair.
That's right. One thing to note is that Jim Alexander, project director, and I were going to lead a bike trip. We postponed it because of a staff illness, but it's now August 6th. So stay tuned for those who like to bike on beautiful new bike trails. Join us. It'll be pretty fun. Ms. General Counsel?
I would just say bring your bike helmet for that, and I'll pass. For sure.
Bike helmet,
Good note.
my policy cards in my pocket. All right, and also, this is, I think, Mindy, I think this is your first meeting as recording secretary? Well on your way.
Okay.
Welcome.
Roll call at the first meeting. That was
All
good.
right, well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon, and be safe out there. This meeting's adjourned.